All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Looks like we do have to update our trade plan a little bit from last night because it was pretty bearish last night, but it did recover pretty much all that down move here. So yesterday we said staying below 900, which is basically like the weekly lows. We were looking to continue lower. Staying above 900, you're back into that kind of weekly retrace. So I think the level is pretty easy to update. You just put it on the value low here. The value low is 46, which we're currently testing almost perfectly. So that was our target from last night. So you're actually hitting your target here. So now we're just going to raise our targets a little bit to 76 and 97. And then we just have to raise our downside here a little bit. So that would be 900, like that weekly range low. And then the overnight low, which is 64. Bit of a two-directional pre-market here. Which two-directional profiles are typically either D-shaped or capital B-shaped. So this one's kind of a D shape. Okay, so pretty much right where we're opening, we are on that deciding level. So we need to see how they hold above or below this 46 level. So pretty much the same story on NASDAQ here. We're actually back testing that profile level at 540. So I might honestly just keep the trade plan on NASDAQ the same because we haven't recovered that level yet. So that's like the weekly lows, basically. So back testing the weekly lows here. Holding above that, we'd look for our value retrace. Holding below it, we'd look for that overnight low. So we could raise this to the overnight low. So we could say, what is that, 180? And then we could say 104. But everything else I would keep the same. Okay, so I figured we are going to do Momo Monday so I can show the indicators and help you guys if you have any questions. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do kind of what I was doing on Friday, where we can still see the profile and the tapes here. So we're just going to lose the 1-minute charts and the order flow for today, or the 30-minute footprint. And if we see any like obvious absorption going on, we'll just go back and take a look. Make sure I have my VWAPs here. All right, initial move is very obviously bullish here. We'll see if they can stay above these levels from last week. Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was saying that there wasn't a lot of trapped delta on that high there. It was a pretty obvious fall off in volume. There is a lot of volume acting like support on that node around 44. There's a really long 5-minute pivot coming up around 63. Keep an eye on that. Trail is being protected here. 30-minute trail is also bullish. We have a 30-minute pivot around 70. Our momentum's a little bit topped out on the 30-minute. Same thing on NASDAQ, a little bit topped out. Good morning, everyone. Itachi, Scott, Julio. Future, let me pin the trade plan for you guys. There you go. Ordinary, Ken, Banana, Jose, Igor, Titus, Mr. B. Morning, Leo, Greg, Mario, Larry, Music. Lubomir, Morris, Faraj, Sam, Tamer, Reggie, Peter, Nitro. Good morning. Appreciate you guys all being here. Nitro, Lulu, Trader, Orion, eBay, Suzanne, Fernando, Ram, Flory, Chris, Darius, Trevor. Morning, Rich, AT, Ike. Appreciate you guys all being here. Happy Monday. What's on the calendar for today? We have a little bit of data coming out at 9:45 and high impact data at 10 o'clock. This week's not really too crazy, but we do have high impact data pretty much every single day. It is the start of the month, so first week is normally a lot of data. Yeah, the pivots, just think of them as levels. Don't think too much about them being like resistance and support. They're only colored differently because of how they come in. The blue ones only come in on impulse downs, typically, and then the orange ones only come in after an impulse up. The only exception to that is what we see right here on the 1 minute, is during the open or the close, the volume influx is so high that it can make the blue and orange pivots come in on different impulses because the volume's just moving around so much. But other than that, just think of them as levels. If you get confused, you can basically just make them the same color. Just go into the settings and make them the same color. It's basically the same way that I draw out my my point of origin levels. You think of them the same way. So like if you lose it, it's the other side. You can take it on the other side. Or if you break it instantly, that's showing you something. Now, obviously, because the blue ones form typically around bottoms, the likelihood of it being a support is much higher. And then the orange ones forming on tops, likelihood of being resistance is much higher. But they're not coded to like always be one or the other. Like this one, for example, started coming down, then instantly broke, and then it gave you a really nice breakout there. Yeah, it's one thing I had to help people with a lot in the beginning when the indicator was first made, is if they're confused about that, just change the colors, make them the same color. Addis had a pretty good update. I'm still pretty behind on updates. I need to update mine. What was the big change? Good morning, Ollie. Building a pretty strong node up here. Let's take a look at that delta. Oops, that was the wrong window I grabbed. No obvious clusters. It's a little bit bearish. Little bit of a bearish node. Very weak value below that. Good morning, Chuck. EOC shifting to that upper node. Did we have any single prints left open from last week? I don't remember. No, we filled them all in. So we had a lot of single prints on Thursday, and I think we had some on Friday as well. But they all got filled in. Very clean profiles last week, actually. No poor lows, no poor high, no single prints. No crazy spikes that need to be repaired. Overall, very good structure there. Keep an eye on the retrace of Friday, starting to test that value low here. Retrace is nearly complete on ES, going back to 76. Basically, right at the start, like I said when we were making the trade plan, you were sitting right on that level that we needed to see who was controlling. And obviously that shot up out of the open, so the buyers were controlling it. Same thing for NASDAQ. The level was 540. Look at that. As soon as you broke it, shot up. The level on ES was 46. Same thing. As soon as you broke it, shot up. There's a little bit of weakness on some of the big names. Nvidia, Tesla, Microsoft not doing too good. The big problem with the market right now is the cracks of that open AI deal, all that money that just kept going around to all the big tech companies, all these like phony investments. That's starting to crack. The cracks are definitely showing in that in those deals, I guess you would say. And Wall Street Journal made a statement about that earlier today about Nvidia's OpenAI deal kind of breaking down. And that's why Nvidia is down today. You're seeing that in Microsoft as well, possibly Facebook. Holding on to those ADMAs right now, you still have that aggressive price action from the open. Here's that 30-minute pivot we were talking about. Basically, the value high retrace. You need a few more points. The very wide A session. We have a little bit of data coming out at the end of the A session, so watch 9:45 and 10 o'clock. But already showing a really big push here. You can see once the Momo kind of topped out, you started to get a little bit more choppy. That momentum was a little bit topped out. It didn't really have much room to go. Cooling off a little bit. Preparing the afternoon break from Friday as well, which is basically... sorry, it's basically being repaired when we finish that retrace. How's the delta doing up here? There's still a very bearish node that's being taken out, so a lot of sellers kind of stuck down there. Falling off in volume pretty rapidly here. Morning, Fable. Here is that 9:45 data. 52.4 over 51.9. We have the higher impact data coming out at 10 o'clock. Good morning, Boat. Hey, Tamer. Yeah, UFC was pretty good. Besides the stream being terrible. It's not a good look for Paramount that they've only had 2 UFC events and both of them have had like a lot of lag issues. This one was really bad. Pretty much everybody on Twitter was complaining about it. But you can't complain too much when you're only paying $8 compared to $80. But not a good look when they paid $8 billion or however much it was. Still bouncing off these daily trails as well. Really good bounce here. Bunch of sweeps. He keeps sweeping that trail around the 20s. Same thing on NASDAQ. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Roman. What's going on, Scott? Still holding on to that ADMA. You can see that teal line pushing us up here. We do not have a single close below that ADMA so far since the open. 5-minute lows all being protected as well. $10 until we have a bit more data coming out. Turning into a trend profile, obviously, we have so many nodes. Even if you don't count the smaller nodes, you still have 4 major nodes. Our retrace trade plan has been completed, so our next target is 97. I'm probably going to have to extend these if it does continue, going back to 20. The retrace trade plan is not complete on NASDAQ so far. You're kind of running into that POC node. Retrace goes to 909. Yet again, the pre-market traders having a very clean day. Very clean trend down, very obvious like V reversal. 30-minute lows being protected pretty much the entire time. And now we are just back into a retrace. Pre-market has been a lot cleaner for the most part. Today's not too bad so far though, so today's pretty clean on the cash profile, but we're not even 30 minutes in yet. You want a Joan? Keep an eye on these 5-minute lows and keep an eye on that ADMA. Those are the most aggressive things being held right now. Running into that 5-minute pivot from way back on Friday. I think that was Friday's open, I believe. Yeah, Friday's opening pivot. How's the delta doing up here? Still a cluster of bearish delta, so a lot of sellers on these nodes here, but they're not winning the battle. Possibly being pushed higher by a lot of limit buys. Showing an obvious bear div in momentum here. Momentum definitely stalling out on this upper node. Kind of a mixed day on these big names. Amazon, Netflix, Google doing pretty good. Apple's doing pretty good. Tesla, Nvidia, Facebook, Microsoft struggling a little bit. Watch those 5-minute lows. We haven't tested one so far, but we do have data coming out in a couple of minutes that could push us down. If it does start coming down, watch that daily VWAP at 67. Looks like the sellers are finally able to control one of these nodes. Here's that VWAP I was talking about, and here comes that data at 10 o'clock. Well, let's see here. 52.6 over 48.5, so much higher than expected. Manufacturing prices 59.0 over 59.3, so lower than expected. Okay, so like we always say with bear divs on the Momo, this one's actually not as obvious on NASDAQ. It's much more obvious on ES. You always look for the trail first. So the bear div or the bull div target is always the trail. Then you see how it reacts to the trail to see if it's going to start like another impulse. So we don't know just yet if that second impulse is coming. It does look like it's getting a little weak. It's holding below that 80 MA. You need to protect these 5-minute highs. You also want to take a look at like the delta, see what's going on there. Nothing really obvious. They're kind of 50-50 here. Tons of bearish delta on that opening candle, minus 4,000, even though it's basically a vertical candle, just straight up. A lot of buyers protecting the mid 70s here, which is basically protecting VWAP. Oh, are there earthquakes in, what do you say, San Francisco? That's pretty common though, isn't it? Don't you guys get earthquakes all the time? Okay, breaking that 80 MA, breaking the 5-minute high or very close to. Back above that pivot, 5-minute low being protected. And this right here is exactly what I was talking about with the trail. You always want to see how it reacts to that trail to see if it's going to give you that second leg down. There's nothing I can really tell you, Pluto. I can't really tell you what works and what doesn't work. You just got to give it a try. It's all about journaling and figuring out what you're good at, what you're bad at. If the trades are working for you on a consistent basis, not just like randomly. The problem with a lot of traders is they win a couple trades and they're like, oh, okay, so that's what works. And they try to continue doing that over and over again. They can't do it on a consistent basis for weeks or months or years, right? There's a saying that you can always remember in trading that helps with this is you can lose good trades and you can win bad trades. And it's all about figuring out which is which, right? People can win bad trades and they think that that is what they should be doing constantly. And they'll keep doing that over and over and over. But then they figure out in the long run, it's actually a bad trade and they're losing on a consistent basis. So it's all about consistency and figuring out what can actually hold through different market structures, different environments. But everyone has their own little system. It's not like a right and wrong. What works for some people might not work for others. Yeah, exactly. If trading was that simple, it would be extremely easy, right? I wouldn't even have a live stream, right? People wouldn't be asking me questions about trading. It would just be extremely simple, and I would tell them this is how to trade, and there you go. See you later. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. So once this candle happened, like right here, the 1002 candle, that is confirming this trap here, this like cupping trap. So you kind of knew there was a trap coming when you came down to the trail, and then you started right here at 1001. You had that momentum coming back up at 1001. And then you kind of confirmed it on the break of 1002. Yeah, the pivots so far have been broken pretty strongly. The candle on 10 o'clock took out both the pivots. If you start showing sweeps or a lot of wicks, that becomes a problem. There is another pivot way back here around 93, which is basically the high of day, close to the high of day on Thursday. There is a 30-minute pivot coming up on NASDAQ, which is basically the same level. That kind of Friday to Thursday level. Building another node here, still very trendy. Just consecutively, node after node after node after node, as you're pushing up. Is this one also a seller node? So this one actually has a lot of buyer delta here. The other nodes were very bearish delta-wise, and obviously they're being squeezed out now. This is our first node that's actually building up on the buy side, which is not always the best thing because it could be absorbed here if they can't hold above 94. So now we're back into kind of a stable trend here, protecting the 5-minute lows, protecting the ADMA. Very aggressive trend. Protecting all these nodes, obviously, building up a new one every time. So looking at this on the larger scale, like on the daily, they're basically just protecting kind of the low of the range. Like if you look at this as a massive range here, the buyers are just aggressively protecting the low of the range and kind of like the middle of the range. So as they get a bit higher here, basically anything above 7,000, that's kind of where the high of the range starts to come in. So we would expect high time frame sell pressure there, unless this is the breakout, right, where we're actually breaking out of this distribution. So being a buyer above 7,000 on the short term is a bit hard here, so be careful. NASDAQ, kind of the same thing. You're right on the middle of the range. As you get above like 26,000, becomes a bit more dangerous. You have some high time frame sellers up there as well. So not seeing that absorption here, you can see they're kind of pushing away from that node. They need to hold above 92. Losing that node gets pretty bad. Back into the FOMC levels again. We're only halfway through the candle, but keep an eye on this candle close in 15 minutes, possibly creating single prints going back down to 89. Large tape is pretty active today, but there's not really a clear bias. It's pretty 50-50. Get a big cluster of buyers on that 10 o'clock data, and that's about it. That manufacturing data point was pretty good. U.S. manufacturing surges at fastest pace since 2022. U.S. manufacturing unexpectedly expanded in January at its strongest pace since 2022, fueled by a surge in new orders and production. The ISM manufacturing index jumped to 52.6 from a 47.9 forecast. Order backlogs grew for the first time since 22. Exports rose. Inventories fell sharply, signaling continued demand. Employment also declined more slowly, while suppliers' delays and input costs remained elevated. So overall, very good data point. Nvidia recovering. Microsoft recovering, now high of day. Google still having a very good run. I mean, look at the run on Google since like 200. It's almost doubled in what? Few months? A pretty green day overall. Tech's doing all right. Finance doing okay. The smaller finance companies, not so much. Health tech. Yeah, it looks like a lot of the smaller caps are not doing too good. Energy's pretty red. Utilities red. Mostly a large cap day. Russell's still doing all right, though, even though the smaller caps are not doing too good. Dow Jones also doing okay. Rating, you said they added TPO alerts. Let's see. Doesn't let me change anything. Maybe I have to do an update or something. Okay, 9 minutes left. Possible single prints going down about, what, 20 points? 10 points? Once again, getting a little bit extended on momentum. It's kind of topped out. Possibly pulling back and rotating that node. That node is very close to the POC. Not showing any signs of weakness just yet, besides those single prints that might need to be repaired. You're not losing 5-minute lows. You're barely losing the ADMA. If it hangs out on this node a little bit longer, you should shift that POC up. Want to reso? Notice what time it is and notice where it's going. It's pulling back and repairing that 30-minute candle. You have 3 single prints possible if you do close like this. Now 2. You see this little section right here? The purple box, that's our current price. So these 3 right here are what's left that could be single prints if it closes up here. They're almost perfectly repairing it. Can you go long when you retest the value high? It's always a possibility. It doesn't mean it's always a good trade. Like retesting value levels could always be a possible trade. There's just a lot of variables that go into it to make it better or worse. It's the same with retesting any major level, like daily high, daily low. You want a rider? You still have 2 single prints left. There's that POC shift we were waiting on. You're starting to see that like daily sell pressure above 7,000. It starts to get a little bit harder. You just have a lot of high time frame sellers up here. You're basically on the high of the range. You can see you really started to struggle on this candle right here on January 12th. That tried to push above 7K. He struggled right here on the 28th. That tried to push above 7K as well. You can even go back to like December 26th after Christmas. Tried to push above 7K as well, sold. So if you do start to hold above 7K, that's not just good on the short term, that's pretty strong on the long term as well. They can start pressing this like triple top basically. You need a lot of strong value above like 20 though, maybe 15, 20. How's this node looking? Pretty 50-50. Sellers are pushing down, obviously being bought back up. Buyers are buying the highs, being sold. Oh, I think my mouse just died. Give me 1 second. Yeah, very common to see this on a large node where one side has bullish delta, one side has bearish delta. You're kind of just rotating back and forth. It's that failure to rotate that really signals the move, which could be happening right here if they don't allow it to rotate back below 7K. Yeah, you're still seeing that pressure from above 7K. Sellers are being much more responsive up there. Going to be a rollover top? Not really. It's more of just like a normal double top. You're just really struggling to hold above this 7K. You can see the volume just falls off a cliff here. They did put in a poor high. Might need to extend the tail. Momentum's coming down pretty rapidly on that second high. How's the delta up here? Nothing too obvious. You don't have like a massive absorption or anything like that. You have a very little node that kind of got stuck on the high there. That's about it. Nothing too crazy. Could just be a node rotation until they start holding below like 95. Well, the rollover top is a very specific pattern. It has that like 1, 2, 3 where it pushes up, puts in the high, puts in a sweep, puts in a lower high. It's just a very specific thing that needs to happen. This is just not it. This is just more of a two-peak structure. You could have argued that like if you zoomed in really close, this could have been a rollover top where you put in a high, put in a sweep, put in a lower high. But the whole structure, definitely not it. I have a couple videos on rollover tops. If you just search my channel and put in rollover top, it should come up. There's probably some shorts on it as well. Good morning, Abazi. Possibly filling in those single prints, and then below that you could look for VWAP if it continues. This is basically the same pattern we saw earlier today on the 1 minute with like the bear div. You kind of have a little bit of a bear div on the 5 minute now. Momentum starting to come down pretty rapidly. Buyer's doing a good job protecting that rotation. They're holding onto that POC node. Really struggling to hold below 5-minute lows. Basically just battling over this POC node. Looks like it's mostly bearish delta on that node. Still struggling to find buyers above 7K because the high time frame sellers are kind of holding it down. Notice where we're stalling as well. That 7K number is also pretty much perfectly the FOMC number, where the FOMC started on Wednesday. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mario. Keep an eye on the trails here. You have the trails coming up, which are basically where the 24 EMA is, kind of the low 80s. That's also where VWAP is. So 82, that white line here is the daily VWAP. Session VWAP is very far away. Filling in single prints, you need one more push down here. Turning more into a P-shaped profile here, so they really need to protect this kind of single print area. Starting to get below like 85, 80 starts to threaten that P-shaped failure, possibly going all the way back down to the open. Single print has been filled in, so now we'll see if it was just a single print fill in, where basically the sellers would just completely lose steam here, or is it actually a down move? Are those sellers going to keep coming in? Yeah, it's more so a rollover in momentum than a rollover top setup, like an actual rollover top. The problem with the rollover top, even if you look at the extended version now, if you have like, if you say that's the left shoulder, then you have like the sweep here, which is it a sweep? Just barely. And then you have like what you would consider a lower high here. We don't really like looking at rollover tops that spread out. There's just so much price action in between those levels. That would be more like a head and shoulders. And that's the main difference between a head and shoulder and the rollover top pattern is it's the same exact pattern if you look at it like structure wise. Like structure wise, it's almost exactly the same. It puts in a high, it puts in a higher high, it puts in a lower high. Like that's a rollover top and that's a head and shoulders. Same exact thing. But the big difference is a head and shoulders, you can have a lot more price action in between the A, B, C, right? Like if we said that's A, if we said that's B, we said that's C, you can have a lot more price action in between. But a rollover top, we want it to be like instant. We want it to go for a high, fail. Go again, sweep. Go again, lower high. Because that's all like one move. It's like one move broken down into three little sections. It's not three individual moves. A rollover top works so well because it's one impulse being completely broken down and then sold. sellers are protecting that back test of the POC node, so they are still continuing this downward impulse. You can also notice that by just the fact they're protecting the 5-minute highs here as well. Obviously, these candles are being colored by my indicators, so those are not actually green candles. These red candles are being protected, the highs are being protected. We don't have like a definitive, like very clear impulse breaking the 5-minute lows. Like if you put all these 5-minute lows together, they're right around like 91. So yes, we are technically breaking the 5-minute lows, but we don't really have an impulse candle like this. We need to see that like clear break to really say those 5-minute lows are completely dead. Keep an eye on the trails and VWAP, basically the same level. And this goes back to exactly what I was saying earlier on the higher time frames. It's harder to be a buyer above 7,000 on the short term and the long term because of all these highs being sold. But so far, since they have filled in the single prints, you've really ran out of sell pressure. So you could argue that it was just a single print fill-in for now. Oh, also, I do need to update these levels. Sorry, we did finish our trade plan on NASDAQ, so our updated level would be 114 if it does continue. Let me go ahead and do that now. Extended level is 114, and I'll just put 248. Probably not going to get there today, but just in case, I'll put it on there. And for ES, we also finished our trade plan. Let me go ahead and update those levels as well. Extended levels are, let's see here, 20. And I'll just put 47, like I said. Probably not going to get there, but just in case, I will throw it on there. The retrace complete, and then we hit our target above the retrace on ES. You did not do that on NASDAQ. You finished the retrace and you failed it to the exact point. Holding above that, you're looking for the value high, or sorry, the overnight high. So you could also throw a target on there around 17, or you could look for the next value target, which is 114. So we're starting to see that P-shaped shift come into effect here, where you have that upper node being protected. The value low hasn't shifted just yet, but in a P-shaped profile, it should be up here. So it should be around like 90. So right now, you're kind of rotating that upper P shape, possibly extending the upper tail once you hold above that POC. starting to look like a trap on the, well, it's kind of confirmed like a trap, but you're finally getting that buy pressure from it. You had the flip happen at 11:10. Like this candle close right here is kind of confirming that this is a trap. You also had it kind of confirmed if I turn off my candle coloring. This candle kind of confirmed itself. You didn't have the green confirm on the Momo, but on the candle you swept the low and then closed above the high. So that candle kind of did its job, right? I didn't notice it earlier, so this is definitely in hindsight. But another way you could have confirmed that trap, as well as it just being a single print fill in, was there was a pretty obvious bull div here. I say obvious, but I didn't see it earlier. It's obvious now that it's kind of hindsight. But there's a bull div on that pushback into the single prints as well. So if you did see that, that was another key sign that it was kind of just a single print fill in. Hey, Savage, I appreciate it, man. Glad you enjoy the content. Glad you're supporting the channel as well. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, thank you. Speaking of which, for our raffle winners, I did pick the winners yesterday, but I have not emailed you guys yet. So keep an eye on your emails. If you guys entered in that January raffle, I will be sending out those winner emails sometime today. So if you guys won the cash prizes, I'll be sending you. I'll be asking for your PayPal, obviously, and then if you won the Discord, I'll be asking for your Discord name and your trading name. What are you referring to, Savage? Explain what. Keep an eye on that poor high if it does continue. Poor high goes into 0708. This does start getting a bit harder. This tail extension will be a little bit scary because you are entering where the high time frame sellers are very strong, or at least they were strong. So we'll see if they still are strong. Oh, explain the bullish divergence? Yeah, so the bullish divergence we had right here, where you were putting new lows on price, but on the momentum indicator here, we're very obviously putting in higher lows. So that kind of confirms that that was a bit more of a trap, not an actual sell-off. And then you had that confirmed around this candle here, which is 1105. That would have been right here. So it confirmed that, yeah, same time, 1105, 1106 on the 1 minute. Not really any clear problems here. So here's another confirmation. We weren't looking at the delta, but another confirmation was you had a lot of bearish delta on the low there, but you fell off pretty rapidly in volume. So once you reclaimed that 91, which would have been, yeah, lined up perfectly, it would have been right around here. Once you reclaim that 91, you're trapping all that sell pressure down there. So a lot of different signals to confirm that trap with that single print fill in. My style overall is mostly volume profile, order flow, kind of reversal stuff. If you watch the Becoming an Apex Trader series, it should be the top series on my, if you go to my homepage of my channel, it should be the one at the very top. That basically explains step by step what I look for. So starting out with like basic candlestick patterns, then going on to more advanced stuff with the indicators, kind of what we're showing today. Then going on to like volume profile analysis, then going a step further and using that volume profile analysis on more of a footprint style. I kind of break it down step by step. Yeah, Joe, no problem. Yeah, if you started watching on Friday, I would definitely recommend checking that series out. It goes for anybody in here. If you guys are new to my channel, I'm covering so many concepts on a daily basis that you're probably just confused or like, what the hell am I talking about? Which is, you're the perfect person, the new people to my channel. You're the perfect, you're who I wanted for that series. You're the person I was aiming for that series, is people who like just got into my channel. You're like, what the hell is going on here? I'm talking about concepts that I've been teaching for like 10 years, right? So that series is kind of a culmination of like 10 years worth of content, kind of, I wouldn't say dumbed down, but it is dumbed down a little bit, where I'm trying to teach it as simply as I possibly can. But I'm still trying to cover like every little detail you would need to be able to watch the live stream and actually understand what the hell I'm talking about. It's definitely a good introduction into the live stream. It's realistically 5 videos. The other 5 are just like a supplement. But for the most part, if you watch just the actual videos and not the Q&As, you'll do just fine. The Q&As are just there for like very specific questions that people have. But all right, guys, we are coming to that time. We're going to call it a stream here. I see that you guys already got us above 100 likes. I appreciate that. So we will go ahead and do a giveaway. Let me get that ready. Give me a second here. And like I said, for the raffle giveaway, just keep an eye on your email. You guys will be seeing that later today. I'll be asking for your details to get you guys added to the Discord, the indicators, possibly the cash prize if you won that one. And if you guys buy any accounts in February, please do not send those just yet. Just hold on to those. I like having them all at the same time. So I get those from you guys at the end of the month. So if you guys use the code BREW anytime during February, we're going to be doing the same exact raffle that we just did for January. Do not send them just yet. Just hold on to them until the last week of the month. But all right, for the giveaway, we're going to do it the same way we always do. Pick a number between 1 and 50. Only pick one number. If you guys tie, we'll do a tiebreaker. This is going to be for a free account on Apex for 30 days. So it's going to give you 1 month free. And then after that, it will start charging you normal price. So be sure to go back to the brew code on the second month. I'll give you guys another minute or so, and then we'll start pulling the numbers here. As far as the afternoon, be careful today. Like I said, anything above 7,000 or above like 900 to 26,000 on NASDAQ, you start getting into a lot of daily sell pressure. So if you do continue to buy up into the afternoon, it's going to be a little bit hard to trust. Now, eventually, obviously, we want to break that level. That could be today. But I don't know if it has the volume or the momentum for today to be it. We'll have to see if there's like a spike in the afternoon. But all right, guys, I'm going to start pulling the numbers. Have your email ready. I will need to confirm your email before I send the promo code. So if you win, I'm going to have you send me an email. I'm going to give you a random number to confirm in chat, and then I'm going to send you your promo code. All right, guys, good luck. Last person I see is Chuck. Chuck is the last number I see right now. Let me know if you won, and I will double check. First number is 6. Does anybody have 6? I don't see a 6. If I missed you, please let me know, and I'll double check your messages. I'll give you another 20 seconds to let me know if you won. I'm going to roll again. All right, I don't see any 6s. Good luck. I'm going to roll again. Last number I see this time is Best Trader. New number is 26. Let me know if you won 26. I see a couple of 27s. I do see a 26. Stronger. Are you still here, Stronger? I believe you are the only one. If somebody else had 26, let me know. Let me know if you're still here, Stronger. Okay, awesome. You are still here. Last chance. Did anyone else put 26? I don't see anybody. All right, I think you are the only winner. Here is my email. Send me an email. Send me an email. Just let me know what your YouTube name is, and I'm going to send you a random number to type in chat. Just let me know when you sent the email. So keeping an eye on the value here, it's a very clean retrace of Friday, and technically kind of a retrace of Thursday as well. But we are really struggling to find value above Friday. So keep an eye on that, holding above 900, possibly into 2,600 or 26,000, I mean. If you guys are heading out, I appreciate you being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. If you guys are in Discord, I will be streaming in there for the rest of the day as well. You sent it, awesome. Let me take a look here. I got you. I'm going to send you a random number. Just put that number in chat. And then the next code you will see will be the actual promo code. So then you go sign up for an account, any size, and put that in as the promo code. ES, same thing. Finished the retrace of Friday, but we are actually able to hold above it. We are back into Wednesday's value. That was the FOMC. So keep an eye on 20. That would finish the retrace. Still really struggling to find buyers above 7,000. I see you stronger. Okay, so next code you see will be the actual promo code. But all right, guys, we're going to call it there. I appreciate being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. Is there any data to look out for tomorrow before the market? Not really. So we have data coming out at 10 o'clock. We'll talk about that on the live stream. But all right, guys, I appreciate being here. I will see you in Discord. If you're not in Discord, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace, everybody.